Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please continue to pray for my eventual submission. I think I'm getting close to hitting the submit button with Lego Ideas. I'm getting better and better at each one, I would say. I started with a Mondrian square, and then I did a couple of monuments and a few other things. I'm getting better and better at it. I just did the Twin Towers complex because I was at a Legos event and there was a girl that I like. She comes from New York, and so my art projects have taken me all around the world. Right, I'm trying to impress another girl, well, a celebrity, and so I did another monument, and that's from her backyard as well. And next week I'll be meeting up with the Japanese girl, and so I'm going to be making a shogi board game set out of tiles like this, and so it's like around the world kind of art. It made me think about making a Lego model of the entire Earth, right? If I could do one building, this is to scale, by the way. As much as I could, it was to scale. I'm a little bit surprised at how tall the other buildings in the complex were. Right, we normally think of the Twin Towers, and that's it, right? In fact, Building 7, this red one, collapsed later that afternoon because fires from the two towers rained down on it. Right, that's what they say anyway. Uh, so we normally don't we think of those towers as afterthoughts. And I also didn't realize how tall the antenna was. Right, I guess you did kind of see when the North Tower finally collapsed, you saw the antenna kind of tip over on the ground level as well, right? So I guess that was the only time I noticed how tall the antenna was. Otherwise, when it was up there, you could never see it, right? But let's take a calculation of the scale. So at the base, the Twin Towers are 207 feet, and the way I've modeled it, each Lego piece, believe it or not, has a scale to it. Each cell is zero point 0.8 centimeters, and each of these blocks is 3.2 centimeters that I have for the base of the Twin Towers. And so 207 feet times 30 centimeters in a foot gives you 6,200 centimeters, and then we divide that by 3.2. So this is a 1900 or so to 1 scale, right? It's kind of surprising, right? The Twin Towers, 2,000 of these make the whole height of the Twin Towers. That doesn't sound right, right? Math is kind of funny when you look at it that way, right? But you could. So now, if we took the entire Earth, 8,000 miles, and we scaled it down, that would only make 4 miles of diameter, right? You could fit the entire Earth on this scale in a small town, right? So I live in Apache Junction right now. That Earth would fit in Apache Junction. Of course, most of it would just be blue, right? Most of it would just be the base, a blue base plate. There might be some desert, and then within the whole town of Apache Junction, you'll see a few New Yorks, you'll see a few Chicagos, you'll see a few Tokyos, and that's it, right? If you were to scale it down, and then you can model the center of the Earth as well. The center of the Earth probably has a lot of gold in it, believe it or not, because when the Earth first formed, the gold would have sank to the center of the Earth, but it probably doesn't have a whole lot of bismuth. And you got to remember why we have bismuth on Earth. Bismuth is the end product of a long decay of heavier elements, right? And along the way, as neptunium becomes protactinium, which becomes actinium, along the way, there are a few elements that are quite volatile, and it would belch up toward the surface of the Earth. And we're very fortunate for that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bismuth to work with, right? So Neptunium would have stayed in the center of the Earth, but it would have became a few things that are volatile. It doesn't become radon, by the way, but it does become francium, which is an alkali metal, very volatile. It does become astatine, which is kind of like iodine, or very volatile. It also becomes polonium, which is also very volatile, kind of like sulfur that belches out of a volcano, right? And then eventually bismuth. And that's why we have a lot of bismuth on the surface of the Earth, right? But in the core of the Earth, we have a lot of gold, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum bum bum.